Hi, this is Natasha Lehrer Lewis with Esther's Place, and today we'll be making a needle felted pumpkin. So we're going to be starting with several materials. Very easy project here, great for a person who's just started needle felting, also really a great project for kids. We need, first off, some sort of core fiber. This can be any sort of wool. Maybe it's a color you don't like. It can also be yarn or fabric scraps. It will need a little layer of wool around that. It can also be polyfill batting, some sort of fiber fill. That's fine as well, but it needs some wool around that. So some sort of core. Today for a small pumpkin we're using about 16 inches. I happen to be using a black Cheviot wool. We have next for the outside ridges a variety of colors, or maybe just one single color, whatever you like. We'll need to tear that into small strips about 3 inches long or so. We'll take that fiber and to tear, always remember to hold the fibers with some distance between them. Then they'll tear a lot easier. We'll need about 5 or 6 pieces of that size, so you can set those aside and have those ready. We'll also need some curlies. These are Lincoln locks. They're actual locks from the sheep, their fleece that they produce. And so it's very curly. It's got some good texture to it, and that's going to look like tendrils on the pumpkin. And then we've also got a real stem. These are stems that I pop off of our squashes that we raise on our farm, and they're wonderful. They really give a look of realism to your pumpkin, and we'll tell you a little bit later how to harvest and cure those as well. So let's go ahead and get started. You'll need a foam block and 2 36 gauge felting needles. We will take our black wool or whatever core wool you may be using. We're going to roll that very tightly into a ball. We're going to roll and tuck until we have the whole thing in a nice tight ball. Remember, the tighter that you do this in the beginning, the less of the poking you'll need to do later, so keep that in mind. So now I've got this tight little ball, and we're going to start felting that. If you take your needle and just poke into about the center, that'll start felting and holding the fibers together. Our goal is to take and make sure that there are no fluffy spots anywhere on here. But remember, this is just the core of the pumpkin. We're going to put other stuff around it, and you're not really going to see it, so don't stress out too much about it. We're going to just go around all the sides. Be careful to watch your fingers, rotating it as you go. And our goal is just to get a nice dense core that when you squeeze it, it doesn't bounce back too much. We also don't want any fuzzy spots, so if you see a little fluffy spot, poke that a little bit longer. So after poking on that for a few minutes, I'd say maybe about 5 minutes or so, we're going to have a nice little ball that we can start adding our strips of wool to. So that ball, let's see, here we go, is going to get one strip after another added to it. Now I've already added a few, and you're going to see how to add more in just a minute. So our strips we're going to take and put at the top of the pumpkin, in the center. You want to make sure they're in the center, and then go ahead and put that helper needle in there to pin it down. That's going to hold it so your fingers don't have to hold it. Then we'll take and simply poke in the middle there to anchor it down. We're just taking and getting enough poking to anchor that down, and then we'll flip it over to the other side and we'll felt it on the other side, on the bottom. So essentially we're just poking at the top and at the bottom, nothing else right now. So we'll go ahead and add the rest of those strips on there. One in the middle and one on the bottom. We're just poking those down to the top and the bottom to form our ridges. And this is such a fun project because you can use different colors. We have a new kit that's out on our Etsy shop, and it is the Fantasy Pumpkin. It's got sparkly fiber that also has some beautiful gradient colors. So a lot of great options when it comes to making these pumpkins. And they are fantastic little party favors for people that are coming over, or as a part of a fall decor. They're really fun, and they're so quick and easy to whip up. You can have a whole pumpkin patch in just an hour or so. Make yourself a whole bunch of pumpkins. So as I'm adding the last piece here, I've basically gone around like a pie. My middle and little wedges out from it to form all of my ridges. And you can put as many ridges into that pumpkin as you like. All right, so now that we've got that all anchored down, we're going to come in between the ridges where they meet, and we're going to needle a little line right down there. And that's going to give us some good distinction. So you can see on this side, I've already done that, and we're going to go ahead and do the other side now. So we'll just take a needle right along the ridge, coming through like you're a little sewing machine basically, and you're just forming a line along each of the ridges where they meet. So I'm not actually poking any of the other fiber, just in between where they meet. And this will really give it a nice look, and you'll start to see your pumpkin come to life. All right, one more here, and we will get to put the finishing touches on. All right. We also want to make sure that it's nice and flat on the bottom, so doing a little extra poking to ensure that it's nice and flat. So we've got a cute little pumpkin. We're getting ready to finish it off with some curls and with the stem. So right now, if you'd like to plug in your glue gun, we're going to be using a glue gun to glue that stem on, so we'll get it nice and warm. All right, the curlies are going to look like little tendrils coming down our pumpkin. So we're just going to position those on there however we like it, and of course use your helper needle to hold it in place while we take and poke that in there. So we don't want to poke it too much because we might lose all those beautiful fun little curls. So we're just going to anchor it down enough that it holds, but so that we don't actually lose the beautiful curl that's giving us our tendrils. All right, is that cute or what? So we're going to add a stem now. We're going to put a little bit of glue on here, and we're going to fix it to the pumpkin. Now earlier I told you I'd tell you my secret on how to get these stems. So what I do is I pop them off of my squashes after harvesting, and I bake them in the oven about 200 degrees for an hour or two. And what that does is it makes them nice and crispy and makes them last longer. Once you put the glue on the stem, you're going to put that onto the pumpkin and just hold it for a minute or so, get it in position, get it to fix to your pumpkin. Sometimes I'll even add some fun embellishments. We've been doing a lot of these wonderful fantasy pumpkins that have feathers and sparkles and leaves and different things, and those I would all hot glue before adding my stem and my curls to it. So those are some other options that you can do. We've got our sparkly ones over here that are ombre dyed, and they're just so pretty to look at. So here's our little pumpkin. A beautiful, easy project that you can do, something that doesn't take a lot of time nor a lot of fiber, but it's going to give you a fantastic result. So I hope this has inspired your felting, and definitely check out our other videos and follow us. We'd love to inspire your crafting more. Thanks so much. Again, this is Natasha Lehrer Lewis with Esther's Place. Happy felting!